This is the time, this is the place, and this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since anything can be geeky, if you love it enough, you never know what you're going to get. This is your host, I am C. This week, we're going to be talking about a little thing known as E3, and we've got Dan Reamer from Gamestitch Podcast going to come in, and he's going to talk a little bit about E3. Tony, I know, is a big fan of the E3 as well.
Very big fan.
So we're going to be doing some chatting about that in Act 2. With me, as always, the legend of local radio, Tanya Metrist.
Hi. I thought you were really going to go
you
Billy
were setting me up for Billy.
That's jokes.
Where's your rim shot?
That's where Chris thinks he's funny. Also with me, as always, is the other legend, Billy DeTore.
Hi.
He's the
Good to see you,
better
Billy.
legend
He's
in the music
the more
industry
legendary
now.
legend.
I'm the guy that hangs out with legends.
To my left is our favorite intern slash staffer slash intern slash guy who gets fired pretty much every week. It's Tony Bacchetta.
I did fire him last week.
We did can him. We canned him a couple of times during the course of the show, but it happens. He's used to it. It's one of those. I think it's actually part of his job description. Is it in your contract?
To be fired.
It's right underneath. Shoot Chris whenever he asks for it.
There you go. See, that was a thing.
Yeah.
And also my bouncing baby boy, Ian Christopher's in the house today.
Yes.
And say it. You know you want to.
No.
Okay, he's waiting for it. He's going to
Muffins.
say muffins. Anyway. And also in the studio with us today is Dan Reamer, as I mentioned, from Gamestitch.com. Gamestitch Podcast. I'm sorry, I'm screwing that up.
You can find it at Gamestitch.com. But
There
we
it is.
are officially known as the official Gamestitch Podcast.
Got it. Very nice. And he is going to be giving some insight on E3. So this is normally the part of the podcast where we talk about all of our sponsors. But as I mentioned last week,
We have openings.
We have openings. We have high-level opening positions at this time. So if you are interested in sponsoring Monkey Business and or the Flower City Comic-Con and or just our charming wit, style, and personality, you can email us at sponsorship. Is it sponsorship or sponsorships?
I think sponsors.
Just email me, Chris, at fc3roc.org. That's the easiest way to do it, because then I can figure it out and get you to the right people.
No, actually email Dan.
Email Dan.
Dan's going to be the one that'll get there because you don't check your monkey
I
email.
check my email. It's just once a day, not like every 5 seconds like some people.
Well, we have access to it on our phones. You do not.
Yeah, well, there's probably some life choices in there. But anyway.
Because you can't figure out that technology?
Shut up. Anyway.
Technology, what's that?
And we also
Wow.
have Patreon, Patreon.com. Patreon.com is a subscription service. It is a membership platform that makes it easy for you to support Monkey Business and Flower City Comic-Con. Check us out, www.patreon.com, FC3ROC. So, well, actually, patreon.com/FC3ROC. I can read. I'm good. I got this.
You're an English major?
I is a professional. All membership levels will include access to the Patreon-only blog, plus tons of great perks at all levels, including early podcast, Twitch, and FC3 information. This week, we would love to welcome you as a guest and as a new Patreon, but we can't because you haven't subscribed yet. So get on it, and we'll give you a shout-out next week. And then you want to help others find the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the single easiest way to support the show and encourage others to listen. Every review will be thanked on the air, and any question will be answered. We always, always, always want this to be a conversation, so please send in your conversations. In addition to Apple Podcast, you can find us on Google Play, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Stitcher. Is there a place you find your podcast and can't find FC3 Monkey Business? Let us know, and we will work on rectifying that.
Did you say iHeartRadio?
Yes,
I
we
did.
Okay, thank you.
I did.
Since I work for them, I want to.
I was going to say, you got to
I was going
give
to say, is that how you find our podcasts?
Yes.
Yes. And please follow us on Twitter at FC3MB Podcast. And if you do, say hi. We love it when you say hi. We might actually even say hi back.
Yay.
Yay. So how you doing, Ton?
I'm pretty good. You
We're
remembered
good?
everything today.
Well, it's because you put the script out in front of me. That was pretty. I can't attribute that to an overabundance of imagination. That was just luck that you put the script in front of me. So, Billy, how's it going over there, my man?
Everything's good, Chris. Thank you.
Good deal.
I'm great. I'm on vacation now.
You're on vacation now for 3 days? Because you teach summer school on top of being in.
I teach summer school. I worked for an hour, not even an hour, on the 22nd of June, and I'm off until July 4th, I go back for a day on July 5th for orientation, and then I officially start back summer school, Monday the 9th, 8th, whatever that Monday is.
Oh, and speaking of that,
And I work 30 days.
Once we finish recording
Billy's
here,
on vacation.
I'm on vacation for a week.
Nice.
I'm off for a week. I'll be hanging around downtown listening to all the music for the Jazz Festival.
Oh, I love the Jazz Fest.
That way I can stay up late and not get up at 3:30 in the morning.
I heard that earlier on the show.
So
I slept in the Monday after the convention. I slept in for the first time, I think, in like 2 years. I slept past 7 o'clock in the morning. Which
that is sleeping in
for
me.
you. That's
yeah.
sleeping in, Billy.
Yeah.
But for me, that's like unheard of.
Yeah.
And
Was it 7:01?
It's 7:05.
Okay.
And I do have one sort of connection since I'm part of Monkey Business.
Mm-hmm.
Last Saturday, went to Cleveland to see the Monkees.
Nice.
Mickey Dolenz and Michael Nesmith.
How was the show?
touring together. It was fantastic. Over 2 hours. They played 2 sets, no opening act. And like 3 days after the show I saw in Cleveland, the rest of the tour was canceled because Michael Nesmith took ill.
Oh, no.
no.
So he was taken to the hospital and then released, but they canceled the last 4 shows of the tour and no rescheduled.
So it's only
them.
2 of the Monkees.
Yes. As Peter Tork isn't touring with him this time.
Okay, and then Davy Jones had passed away.
is dead. And I've never seen Mike Nesmith before, and I'm a big fan of his. So
Okay.
I was very happy to see him.
When I was listening during the week, you said that they don't really get along and talk to each other except for on stage.
Mickey and Mike do get along, but
okay. The rest-
when they had their big reunion in the mid-'80s when MTV was playing them 24 hours a day, the old episodes,
Right.
they went back out on that huge tour that sold out CMAC like you've never seen before. And from what I heard, it was the time Mike Nesmith wasn't touring with him. It was Mickey, Peter, and Davey. And I heard that they didn't get along. They each had their own separate bus, and that they didn't interact with each other until they got on stage that night. So
That'd be hard.
That's
yeah.
interesting. Well, figure with the ups and downs they've been through in their careers because of
just all
the business.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine if we didn't get along with the group?
We do?
this is all an act? No. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, and I think that's part of my charm. Tony,
Hi.
how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm doing well in my summer course. It's harvest time for the cherries, so
Okay.
I'm picking cherries.
That's why you were asking during the break between recordings.
Yeah,
You were
I was
asking about cherry pie references.
For any cherry pie recipes.
Is this where we start playing the song from What's Their Face? Was it Poison that did that one?
Warrant.
Or Warrant, excuse me.
So
I was never a big fan of that.
Send me cherry pie recipes.
Cherry
I'll
pie
be,
references go to Tony@Tony.com.
That's definitely a website.
I will make that.
That is
right
not
now.
Tony's actual email address.
That's not my actual email address.
Because we dare you to try and spell Bacchetta.com.
Yeah, there it is.
Triple dog fire dare you, and then say Bacchetta correctly.
Bacchetta.
Correct.
It's because she looked you up on Facebook.
Nope, I have not.
Okay. And then
I'm
my
an
bouncing
English
baby
major.
boy,
Tease.
Mr. Ian. How you doing over there, sir?
Blueberry muffin.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
So, Ian, what are you doing this summer?
As little as possible.
Well,
He's definitely not cleaning his room, that's for sure.
Well-
of course I'm not doing it this summer. Doing it after this.
After the summer.
Yeah. After.
When we've declared it a FEMA
Well,
disaster zone.
The hopes are I'm going to start working
Mm-hmm.
the hopes for either the city or a farm.
Yeah. We'll see. We
Did
can
you
put
say
him
her for a farm?
for a farm. Yeah, one of our newest junior board members, adjunct board members, Ann Maguli, or Ann Liebeck now.
Liebeck.
She lives on a farm, and she
cool.
was volunteering to put the kids to work.
And
Nice.
she has cows.
She
I was going to
does.
say,
Question, have you gotten your work permit yet?
Not yet. I need a physical, which I'm getting on
Yep.
Monday.
It's interesting. A city or a farm?
There's no in
It's
between.
see,
that's
we
He
are a
lives in
fan-
the city.
we're a family of extremes. There's very little gray area in this family. I've noticed over the years. It's either black or white.
Or he's going to be going into outer space.
I have threatened him on several occasions. Right to the moon, Alice. Right to the moon.
right into orbit.
Moon muffins.
Moon muffins. Oh,
Well,
there's-
he's going to have to do some cleaning because he's going to have to decide what's going to the new house.
I already
that's
did
true.
that. I did that like months ago.
yeah, nothing.
Nothing?
I'm leaving it all behind, and I'm starting fresh.
Oh, okay.
There are boxes in your attic.
I know. There are toys in the attic. Bats in the belfry. It's all good.
It's Legos, isn't it?
Mostly Legos.
Yeah,
yes.
mostly Legos.
Mostly Legos.
God
Actually, those
bless
are mostly
Legos.
mine.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Dan, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm so glad you could join us.
Me too. I'm
He
glad
gets
for
to
the
see the
invite.
antics on our end.
Dan suffered having to deal with us. He very bravely and graciously volunteered to do Podcasting 101 at the FC3 2018 show with us. And we came up with the brilliant idea of doing a podcast while talking about podcasting. We called Podception, podcast within a podcast within a podcast. And so, we sat in there in our row on the stage, and poor Dan, you got through about 2/3 of your presentation,
just about
maybe?
all of it. Yeah,
you probably, and if you had just been left to your own devices, you could have gotten through all of it. I'm pretty sure of it.
We got through the important stuff.
That's good.
A lot of the stuff that was at the end is more of the hardware type stuff.
Okay.
The hardest part is the idea stuff that we went over. That's the hardest part, is where to go from there.
Right.
And we got through all that. But, no, it was a good time. The whole show was good, actually.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I was able to go on Saturday, and I showed up Friday night for the pre-party.
Yep.
But, I had a great time.
Oh, good.
Glad to hear it.
Surprised at the amount of venders that were there.
Yeah, so were we, actually.
But it's really nice to see something like that in my hometown. I'm outside. I'm from the country, about 25 minutes east of here, or west of here. But it's nice to see something in my hometown like that appeals to my needs and wants.
We want to hear that too. So it's and if there's anything that ever pops up in your head, you're like, hey, you guys should try this. Let us know straight away, and then we'll see about integrating that in. Now, tell us a little bit about your podcast, and what we're going to do is we want to hear about your podcast, and then we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we want to talk about the E3 experience.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
Sure. Well, it's me and a buddy of mine. We started at GameStop. We were just employees there, and we talked about games all the time. We came up with the bright idea, why don't we see if other people want to listen to this? So we started up a podcast and became the official Gamestitch Podcast, and we've been doing it for about 5 years now. It's a weekly podcast. It covers weekly news with tidbits of us, and, very conversational. But we've been doing it for 5 years, and we're continually growing. We've had some dark years, like we like to call, where we started out with 3 people, and it ended up dwindling down to 2. Well, you got to make adjustments at that point.
Right.
You lose a little bit of momentum. So we've been slowly gaining that back, and we've got some new ideas planned as well. So,
good deal.
But you can find us at Gamestitch.com. You'll find our whole website. You can access all of our old articles when we were still a full-fledged website, because we took on too much way too fast.
We know how that works.
So we ended up scaling back, and now we just do the podcast. You can find us on YouTube.com/Gamestitch. You will find our podcast and our streams. We do streams. We guarantee one a month.
Okay.
Because of our Patreon supporters.
Gotcha.
So we set the bar fairly low for ourselves. We usually get a little more, but our follow-through isn't always what it should be, and we're aware of that, so we try to set our bar a little lower.
Well, whatever we can do to help, let us know. I mean, the family's always more fun when it's bigger.
That's true.
Maybe we can invite Dan and his team to become part of the now up-and-coming Mighty Monkey Podcast Network.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard I talked about that with, I want to say D. Is that right?
Sherry?
Sherry's our producer, yep.
I
and
talked
her husband,
with her
Chris.
a little bit about that on during FC3, and it sounds like a really interesting idea.
And since you're local, it'd be easy for us to get together and have some proper chat. So there's some business there, I think, coming forward. Absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun. All right, cool. Thank you. And we appreciate you hanging out with us today. You're always welcome.
Problem.
Just let us know if you ever want to stop by.
E3's my baby. So.
That's going to be a thing. I can't wait. We're going to talk about that. But first things first, we're going to take a little break.
Yes, we are.
We're going to have a little chance to take a breather. And then when we come back, we are going to be talking about E3.
Let's hear from comedian Lachlan Patterson. He's got some things to say about video games.
Nice.
That's why I like video games. You don't have to communicate with women to play them. I know that if I want to get past the dragon, I got to climb on its back and rip its head off. If a woman designed that video game, instead of ripping the dragon's head off, you got to go just talk to the dragon for like 45 minutes. Figure out why the dragon was so mad at you. Perhaps it was your tone. Then you just press the share feelings button 50 times. Oh my God. How do I cry? Is there a turbo cry? Worst part, if women made video games, once a month the game would be impossible to play. What the hell just happened? No, I just turned it on and it said game over, go to hell. What? I haven't picked my guy. I'll give you this, though, ladies. If they did design video games for women, they'd have some advantages. Like if you screwed up, the game would just let you keep playing. But it'd never let you forget what you did wrong earlier. Oh, no.
Started in, 1995, you said?
1995
the Electronic Entertainment Expo, commonly referred to as E3, is a premier trade event for the video game industry. It has become the big dog in letting everybody know what's going on in computer and console and everything. And Dan, you were there.
I wasn't there.
You were not there.
But I
Not in 95.
Not in 95, mind you.
I watched. I almost had a chance to go, but I ended up losing out to my partner, Ryan, who's my partner on the podcast. He's been to a E3. He won that through when he was still at GameStop.
All right.
But I have never been, but I watch it.
You watch it, you follow it closely.
Every year. I've been to the PlayStation experiences at the theater. The closest one is in Buffalo.
Okay.
In Williamson. I've gone to that a few times.
Good deal.
So I'm even though I'm not able to go, I'm probably more invested and involved than some are.
Which is good, because you're going to know more about what's going on there than I do. And I know Tony here is a big E3 follower as well.
Did you know that this last year there were over 69,000 people there?
69,000?
69,000 people. Just crowded into the LA Convention Center.
I'd like to have 10% of that.
Last year's attendance was 68.4.
68.4.
So,
Still.
It's growing, and it's grown pretty significantly since, I think it's 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, they started letting... they've started selling tickets to the public.
Okay.
So it's grown exponentially since then because everybody's clamoring to get in.
Yeah.
Can we just touch base on their marketing?
Yeah, I would love. Yeah,
Can we
I'd like to have 10% of their box office.
That number in the convention center.
Exactly. So, what are some of the things we learned at E3?
Well, the biggest thing we learned at E3 is that 2 weeks prior to E3, Walmart Canada leaked a bunch of stuff and ruined pretty much any lack of surprise.
There was still clamoring there, but it did spoil a lot of the magic.
Yeah, what it did is unfortunately, my overall sense of E3 was that everybody was playing it very safe. You're kind of at the end of the current generation of consoles.
Okay.
In 2-3 years, you're going to have the new consoles coming out. So a lot of it was just playing it safe. Just look, we do have games coming out for this console, for this generation. I think a lot of what they showed, if you didn't see actual gameplay, your expectation is not to see that current gen. You're probably going to see that next gen. So we're talking Elder Scrolls 5, 6.
Really excited about that. I'm thinking it's going to be in Hammerfell or High Rock or both.
It could be in both. It's probably going to be huge, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Especially with the way they're talking
both.
about Fallout 76. If they can make Fallout 76 as big as they want it, I think they can make Elder Scrolls 6 even bigger.
Yeah, especially next gen.
And these and these things are for the current generation. These games you're talking about are for the current generation of consoles, or they're getting ready to transition to the next, PlayStation. What am I seeing? PlayStation 5, 6?
Yeah, it'd be PlayStation 5, and I just always refer to whatever the next generation of Xbox is as the next box.
Yeah, the next box.
I always refer to
That's
it
a great way to doing it
as
too.
The next box. If you didn't see any actual gameplay, it's probably next gen. So it's going to come to the PlayStation 5 and the next box. If you did see gameplay, odds are good that it's coming. You'll see Last of Us 2 for this generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fallout 76 is obviously coming. What are some of the other ones that people clamored for? Obviously, all the...
Yeah, the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Did we see gameplay for that, or was that just the trailer?
Yeah, no. Well, it was an in-gameplay. It was a gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming. I mean, Nintendo, you can't count on Nintendo. Nintendo... I don't really include them in that next-gen conversation because
they're on their own
just
schedule.
released the Switch. They do their own thing. They always have. They follow Nintendo rules, not society world rules. So they kind of do their own thing.
Now, it's funny. Earlier, I was joking about just get me back to Tetris. And I happened to see there's this thing called the Tetris Effects coming out on the PS4. I don't have a PS4.
I don't either.
We have Xboxes in our house.
It's going to be
It's
$200
actually
by this point.
I believe it's going to be
Yeah, probably.
Virtual
I
reality.
believe it's for VR.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, 'cause-
Yeah.
See, now, Dan, for me, I'm a PC gamer.
Me too.
All right, I've been playing MMOs since they started coming out. So I've City of Heroes back in the early 2000s, World of Warcraft since it opened. I'm still playing it to this day, 14 years,
Yeah,
almost
thanks.
15 years later. And I got Tanya infected in it recently. We got to play tonight. No, you can't. You're busy.
I'm gaming.
I'll
Tomorrow.
play with you. I'll play with you.
Sounds good. So, these are things that I'm thinking about. I'm like, now, is there something for the PC gamers, or is this all pretty much console stuff for E3?
Most of what you hear about being released is going to be released for PC at some point as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, it's not day and date. Because there's a lot more that goes into the logistics of PC gaming than does console gaming.
It's
Console
a lot much
gaming,
more varied.
yeah, it's a console gaming. It's a set amount of these are our specs. This is the drive we have. This is all of that. You get into
Everything's much more
PC,
standardized.
they're constantly changing. You can switch out your motherboards, you can switch out your graphics cards, your
Right.
sound cards, you can change it all out. So there's different adjustments that need to be made for PC. But I would wager that, with the exception of Nintendo, just about everything that you heard about or saw for PS4, Xbox One, and probably the next generation as well, will
Make its way.
make its way to PC at some point.
Oh yeah, they've already started sending out alpha codes for Fallout 76, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of those alpha codes are for PC.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is where because
What's an alpha code?
go ahead. Yes, that's the first good question right there.
Basically, it's a pre-build. The game is not done.
Come help us test it out.
Pretty much, it's pretty
I've heard
much
the
your
beta testing.
Like beta.
Alpha's before
only
beta.
alpha is before beta. Alpha is the real rough version.
Yeah.
The beta is okay. We worked some of this stuff out. Now let's see what happens after we worked the major stuff out. Because every time you make a change, there's other little bugs and glitches that pop up.
Yes.
A lot of times in the alpha stage, it's a lot of downtime followed by like short bursts of like maybe a day or two of play time.
Of action or
Yeah.
But a lot of it is
And
just
then
a
followed by
feeling of what
crazing.
happens when you walk around the world.
Exactly.
Because I've been playing Warcraft for so long with a subscription, I actually have been in a couple of alpha tests for a few of their expansions over the years. So you can see that it's like I am walking through a minefield is basically what it feels like. And then all of a sudden beta test comes out a couple months like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to get where they're going. Oh, okay, yeah, now it's starting to feel
And
like
it's completely different from what
yes,
the
it
finished
is.
project
It really does.
Oh yeah. Like people who played the Minecraft beta or Minecraft alpha where like it was the nice unique thing about the Minecraft alpha was the community developed around the alpha and then the beta and then the finished product. So was a very organic growth of the community.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. And
And it
did you
just
see that
grew
often?
from
Is that something that's common? Or
It's not as it doesn't happen as often as
No,
you-
it's starting
as
to
you would
happen
like.
more because it's been successful. Ghost Recon Wildlands released one. They're going to be doing one for Fallout 76. They're getting positive results from it, and a lot of these companies, these developers and production companies, are now getting to the point where what the public has to say, their consumer, the people who love these things, that pay money for these things, their opinion is starting to weigh more and more on the decisions that these companies make.
So they're actually
because we've
listening to
seen
the-
some serious missteps. A lot of people complained this year at E3 about EA's very lackluster presentation.
okay.
Oh yeah.
I think it had to be. They're coming off a serious loot box controversy, which is
What
actually
was that all about? I'd heard something.
well, they were basically charging people to buy loot boxes, and it was virtually impossible to get anywhere that matters in the game without spending extra money for these loot
It was
boxes.
Okay.
It was ridiculous. You had to spend like 200 plus hours just to unlock certain characters like Darth Vader.
Or you could spend $9.99.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh, so they were basically dangling the carrot in front of everybody and saying,
Yeah.
"Here
So
comes,
you
give us, gimme,
either
gimme,
you
gimme."
could do
It's
the
the
long
whole-
haul or instant gratification.
But they made it an incredibly long crawl because games have been doing loot boxes, but generally in the past they've been strictly cosmetic. Which, to be fair to EA, that's what the Darth Vader character is. He's strictly cosmetic. He's a little stronger, but it just enhances the gameplay a little bit. Whereas in the past, they've essentially been more cosmetic items just for looks.
Okay.
Like
But
green
now when
skin
you,
on a character.
right.
Yeah.
But now when you start getting into pay to play or pay to win, now you have an issue. And senators, the government got involved with senators, and maybe we should call this gambling. And so
Wow.
basically EA just backed off from that, and they really played it safe with this year's presentation.
Oh,
And they showed some stuff. Their shoutcaster for Command and Conquer I could have done without. That's unnecessary, EA, in case you're listening. Shoutcasters were cool in 2011. But
I remember playing Command and Conquer with Dan back in the 90s.
well, they've got it coming for mobile.
Is it
Which is
really?
a cool
Yeah.
release, but they spent way too much time on it. They spent way too much time on their sports games. But
That was their big pull was their yearly release sports games
and Battlefront,
and
Okay.
Battlefront,
which is also
a yearly release.
essentially a yearly release.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they
Are
really
they the
played
ones
it.
that do Madden and things like that?
Yeah, they do Madden,
FIFA,
Okay.
NBA Live,
Yeah.
all those. There's a pretty big focus on those.
Now their subsidiary BioWare.
A lot of weight on Anthem.
Yeah, a lot of weight on Anthem. I did actually read an interview. They haven't completely canned Mass Effect yet.
Or Dragon Age.
Or Dragon Age. I'm actually expecting when the new console age drops, I expect a new Dragon Age game.
See, I know BioWare because, again, I'm PC MMO
KOTOR?
based.
Oh, yeah,
So,
KOTOR.
yeah. KOTOR and SWTOR.
Yep.
You know, Star Wars The Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic. So those are games I've played.
Yep. I'm a huge BioWare fan. I have been since
They're really good at
Baldur's
story
Gate.
driving.
Yeah,
You know, you really...
That's what my thing for games is I like a story. I'm not. Some people
like
are graphics hounds. You know, they want it to look beautiful, and I don't. I'm not big on frames per second. I'm not big on graphics. I want a good story. I
long
want
as
good
the story's
characters.
good,
I
it's
want
good.
a good narrative. BioWare has traditionally done that for me.
Yes, me too.
I'm one of the few that was not as let down by Andromeda as some people were.
Yeah, I haven't actually. I own the game. I just haven't been able to play it because I don't have a system that can run it yet.
Gotcha.
So from what I've seen, I get why people were upset with like all the graphics and game bugs, but at the same time, if it's an okay story, it's an okay story.
Well, a lot of people had complaints because the last Mass Effect game they played was Mass Effect 3.
And-
Mass Effect 3 was phenomenal. It also had two 80-hour games to build on, story-wise. Andromeda was, again, starting a new... Now, if you go back and play Mass Effect 1 now, you're going to get what I call the Andromeda effect.
Exactly.
It's going to feel like Andromeda felt.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people
Yeah.
miss that.
All right, so the lack of familiarity kind of threw
Yeah,
things
it's the
off.
same universe, but it's all new characters.
So that's
They're
okay.
trying to
I get
do
it.
universe building in a already established universe, and it will. And since they have a little bit of lore to go off from the previous 3 games, but it's an entirely new galaxy.
Okay. And, you know, we can probably transfer that to another podcast down the road where we talk about how that kind of an effect has probably affected the Star Wars universe in terms of movies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
Actually,
people are
and
like...
that's one of the things about the internet is it affects people's expectations so much that nobody's going to get it right. I mean,
what have I said at the beginning of every Star
Chris
Wars
is,
conversation we've ever
Chris
had?
is doing an on the nose
Yes,
gesture.
tapping.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Can't make everybody happy.
you're not
You
going
can't.
to.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
And the thing,
you-
any director, whether it's of
Oh,
a
yeah.
game, of a TV show, of a movie, that is their vision, and you can like it or not like it, but essentially, that's irrelevant.
Right.
It's the director's vision. He was chosen for a reason by people who, for lack of a better word, matter a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way to say it, and they felt that he was the best guy to do that.
Exactly.
And they let him do it. Star Wars is a great example of that.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think so.
there's a lot of, well, I wanted this. Okay,
so
well,
part of the
then
global
make a
consciousness,
movie.
yeah.
Then
It's
make
so-
a movie. There
yeah,
you go. Problem
exactly.
solved. Otherwise, be quiet. Let Ryan Johnson make his movie,
And-
pay your money or don't.
And there you go.
And that's essentially what.
Yeah,
what
use your dollar as your voice. If you didn't like the movie, then don't watch the movie repeatedly.
and that was a lot of the problem with the DC universe, which I happen to
Exactly.
love. The movie universe. I like those movies.
I'm enjoying them.
I think they're, but what I look for in a movie is fun, and I think they're fun. But I do think that Warner Brothers stepped in and messed with the director's vision a little too much.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's evident.
Yeah.
So
Now, circling back to Smash Bros. Ultimate, did you see that Masahiro Sakurai is back in He had previously said that the last one, what was it, 4?
4, that he wouldn't show up again?
He was not going to do. He was done with Smash Bros. I thought it was really interesting to see him come back, and he said this will be the last Smash Bros. But then again,
that he's involved with.
But then again, is it really?
As long as it makes money. I think
if it keeps making money, it
going...
depends on where he's at. I mean, he had one more in him, so go for it.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima and Death Stranding.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody cheered like you wouldn't believe when that game, when they showed the new gameplay at E3 this year. No one knows what that game is about. I don't care who you are. I don't think Hideo Kojima knows what that game is about. And he's the director.
Very true, very true.
Does that happen? Does that happen where they create such like these big open worlds that they forget that there's supposed to be something going on within that structure, that they just basically, here, go explore and see what happens?
I feel like Square Enix has done that a few
Square
times.
Enix has done it with some of their RPGs, some of their JRPG style stuff. Hideo Kojima is a world builder, but none of the worlds ever make sense. But it's totally on board for him, so that's what matters.
Okay.
And people, he has a very small. They usually sell pretty well. They make a decent amount of money, but he has an extreme cult following.
Okay.
I wouldn't say extreme, but those people are
There's some
diehard
diehards.
Hideo Kojima fans.
The fact that he would put himself into a game as a character.
Yes. So
would
they
drive the fans like crazy.
Yep. They go nuts for that. So Death Stranding will be successful. It probably won't be, top tier money wise.
No, it won't
it's
be
not going to make
blockbuster.
Call of Duty money.
Right.
But it's going to do well because those hardcore fans will buy that. They will buy DLC. They will buy action figures and T-shirts and soundtracks and
that's where the win comes in, is the merchandising.
And they will tell you that they know what's going on in the story. They don't.
The diehards, they have a beat on things. They know exactly what's going on, but they really, really don't. Well, here's the thing. See, when it comes to console games, I prefer PC games because I give my keyboard and my mouse, and I can control things. When you put me 2 thumbs on
too many buttons on a controller.
I'm useless. I'm useless with these controllers. My thumbs don't know which way to go first. I don't know which button to press. I just start button mashing and just hope for the best. And it's never been a true kind of thing that I've been able to get into. But it doesn't, the culture does not need me to approve or disapprove of it.
The nice thing is, like, the way PC gaming is going, all the games you see on consoles will eventually be on.
Will be on PC.
You'll see them on PC,
especially if you have like Origin and Steam and any other service like that. You can just go through.
Yeah, Steam was a game changer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Steam was a game
changer.
Steam,
and Ian uses Steam, and so it's basically like almost like a broker of sorts. They provide games to you,
like Blizzard.
They basically hold all.
They're the middleman.
Yeah.
They're the middle. Okay.
Everything funnels in here, and then people take what they want from there.
Okay.
Exactly. The Steam sale is actually going on right now. I picked up a few games because I'm like, they've been on my wish list for a while now, and they actually got affordable for a broke college kid.
I keep getting the emails for Tyler's account saying that items on his wish list are on sale and things like that. So
Steam and my computer at home do not quite get along. There's a little bit of there's a little bit of a rivalry for attention when it comes down to it. And my poor little Alienware, that's 2.5 years old now, and Steam, not good friends. I've tried downloading Steam to my computer a couple times because I know my son uses it, and so I figured I'd try to test it out myself. And there's always some sort of conflict, some sort of error, some sort of problem. So in light of that, is there you had mentioned Origin? Is that a same kind of a feeling?
It's EA's response to
and it's strictly EA.
Oh, but it's okay.
EA.
So I can't expect to see the same things that I would see on Steam.
You see BioWare titles and you see EA titles on Origin, and that's about it.
Gotcha.
So if you're really into like your Madden, or if you're really into your Mass Effect, you can go on to Origin and get it all through Origin.
Okay.
And actually, on Xbox. On the Xbox One, there's actually EA Access.
Okay.
You pay pay the same monthly fee like you do for Origin.
It's actually on PC as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Access? Okay.
EA Access, and you get access to a whole bunch of games for
a library of games that they set out for you.
I think it's like $12.99 a month or
it's
something
very
like
similar
that.
to how Games Pass works, or Game Pass works for Xbox.
Okay.
But yeah, and there's always been a rivalry between PC and console. I don't understand it. What you like.
Oh yeah.
I grew up. My first console was this wooden.
Atari?
No, before that there was just the Pong.
Before that, the
It was
Pong.
just the Pong.
Okay.
and the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I had Pong.
That was my first console. Then I moved to Atari. Then 2600. Then 15200. I had a ColecoVision. I've been consoles my whole life.
Okay.
What I prefer about a console is I can sit in a recliner and lean all the way back wherever I want to in my room. And I don't have to pay attention to anything. I don't, except for what's going on the screen, because once I get used to those buttons,
It becomes
once
muscle
I know
memory.
what button's what,
Yeah.
I can just. I mean, there's times where I'll be reclining, I'll have my hands with the controller
Behind your head.
behind my head, and I'm playing the game because I'm that familiar with them,
That's
comfortable
amazing.
with them, and I can.
Okay.
And I couldn't do that with keyboard.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
You know, I like being able to just kick back
Yeah.
and relax. Another
me-
thing I like about consoles is the lack of. And I'm not familiar with it, so it's probably just me being a scaredy pants. But the upgrading and making things better, and I like being able to stay away from that. And just here's my box; it plays my games. I don't have to mess with it at all. I don't have to get a new graphics card.
Yeah.
I've been told it's simple to do.
It is.
The thing, the
go
way
ahead.
it works
You,
is
Tony.
it's like you don't have to necessarily upgrade your computer every time a new game comes out. You get one really good graphics card, you're set for like the next 2, 3, 4 years, depending on how good it is. And as long as you have a good spec'd computer, you're good
Right.
for a solid like 5 years, 6 years. Especially if there aren't any real good games coming out in that span.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about buying new games. You
Okay.
can just play what you normally play.
Because I know people have told me, well, you can use the controllers on the.
That's
On the
the way to
PC.
do it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
you can use an Xbox controller or the Steam controller
Yeah.
on a PC, and it's fine.
The PC on my desk at home, I've had for about, like I said, 2.5 years, and it was the first PC that I bought, quote unquote, off the shelf ever.
Okay.
Everything I was on my desk before that, I built myself. I
Right.
was taught early on in the 90s to how to build a PC, and then I would get the parts, Tiger Direct, Newegg, whatever the case may be. I'd get my own parts, build my machine, and then try to struggle to maintain it because, well, if anybody knows my plight with cars, it's the same with computers back in the day, where there's always something breaking, always something that needed to be fixed, always something needed to be, so it
Especially if you're scavenging the parts out of the trash.
I had a Frankenstein computer right about the time Ian was born. He's 15 now, but right about the time Ian was born, my computer was nicknamed Frankenstein because I had slogged it together
white
with
one?
Yeah, the first white one. Yeah, I had that one for 6 years, and I'd built pieces of it. It came all together in one package. I put it together, put the operating system on it, and then systematically over the next 6 years scavenged other computers to try and keep it going. And if something would pop, I'd replace it with something. It was awful.
I'm sure
Seriously.
anyone worth their weight in salt has a story about a
Oh, yeah.
Franken
Oh,
computer
yeah.
that they had.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
a Frankenpooter.
But I have friends that enjoy PC gaming. They do both, but a lot of what they do is on the PC, and that's fine.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
there is no. I don't think there is a real rivalry between the two anymore.
No,
not
really.
like there used to be.
Not
No.
like there used to be. I think, especially with the way that a lot of the titles that are released on console are now released on PC, a lot of the rivalry has diminished.
Right.
And everything is much more superficial.
Well, I think another thing you've seen is we're almost to that point where the technology is ready to peak, because they're only ready for PC for that stuff, graphics cards and that. You'll notice that their jumps are much less incremental.
Yeah.
And you'll even see that between the PS3 and the PS4. So I think that the consoles are able to get closer to that PC experience graphically, sound-wise, frames per second, that kind of thing. But without a doubt, on the horizon that none of us know about, Elon Musk is probably involved somehow.
Okay.
There is
Dollars and donuts. I agree.
There is a technological jump
Yeah, coming.
and then we may see that gap happen again. But I think right now we're kind of in a safe place. You don't see a big jump between PC and console. You don't see a big jump between the different generations of consoles.
Okay.
And that's why I think indie games have taken off so much.
Oh, yeah.
Is because now it has come down to story, narrative, character development.
It's more accessible.
Yes.
So that the people who are developing games can do. They have a little bit more leeway because the big houses they've caught up to the big houses in tech.
And it's not about buying that game that looks awesome anymore. It's about that
Buying this game
that
for
is
its
awesome.
telling you
experience.
that great story
Yeah.
and has those awesome characters.
Gotcha. Now I got two questions. Tony, you go ahead because it sounds like you got a follow-up point, but then I have two questions.
Did you see any particular indie games that you were very excited
Good
for
question.
at E3? I know that Ori 2 is coming out, but
Ori 2, I like Ori. I'm super excited for Sea of Solitude.
oh yeah,
And I am super excited that it actually releases this week. It's free by Don't Nod. The Adventures of Captain Spirit. I'm a huge Don't Nod fan. Don't Nod is one of my favorite developers right now.
Okay.
First,
nod is in two words. Don't nod,
nope,
like don't
it's
nod
all
your
one
head.
word.
Oh,
don't nod.
Okay.
Don't Nod Entertainment. They are responsible for the Life is Strange series, which I have all the Ultimate Editions that I've ordered straight from Ubisoft that cost outrageous amounts of money because I love those games. I can't.
you got to be excited for Life is Strange 2.
I
coming
am
out.
excited for
Yeah.
Life is Strange 2. First episode drops September 26th. I can't wait.
That's big. That has a lot of hype around it right now.
Okay.
Along with mostly because Don't Nod has done an exceptional job in cultivating a community around its games.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And
Which seems to be very important. That's the second time you've mentioned about community and development of making sure that everybody is all kind
That's
of on
because
board.
community is a very big part of the
Of the gaming culture.
gaming experience.
As I said, it's become so much more.
yeah.
That's why you see so many of these companies focusing with alphas and betas and creating that community.
Okay.
Because once you're in, if you love it, you're in.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Like any other geek-tastic
Right.
pop culture thing.
To break it down to a simple dollars and cents, you get community developed around it. You have people that will be invested in your games for the next 10, 20 years.
Gotcha.
From a
Well,
business standpoint, that's guaranteed money.
I gotcha.
So that's why it's so important to cultivate that.
Well, I can circle back on that. Like I've said, I've been playing World of Warcraft since it came out,
Exactly.
since 5 months after it launched, and I'm still here 15 years later.
and even I'm sure there.
So I understand that.
I'm
yeah.
just gonna go out on a limb here and guess this, but I'm guessing there's times where you've stepped away a little bit.
Yep.
And then a new expansion pack came out.
Bingo.
And boom, you're all in.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. There are expansions like Warriors of Draenor Warlords of Draenor. I just couldn't get into it, so I stepped away. I'm like, I'm done with this game. And then the next expansion came out. I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting. Let me go see what's happening.
yeah.
And then I'm, oh my god, here I am playing every day again.
Or it could be like me that bought the expansion without realizing I didn't buy the
When
game.
we got Tanya into the game, it was mere 3-4 months ago when we finally got her into the game. She bought the expansion that has not been released yet. Before she bought the rest of the game.
Awesome.
She's like, why am I not getting it? This is not letting
This is
me
not
in.
working.
This is not working. And then we put it together and figured out what was going on. I'm like, that's interesting
That's
problem.
awesome.
But that
I'm
happened.
like, what is? I'm like, I can't upgrade anything. I can't do anything here. What is going on? And
But
come
we
to
figured
find
it out.
out, I never really bought the game.
Yeah.
But buying the expansion for like $60-$70 or whatever it was, I'm like, we would think that it should have included the original game in it. Come on.
Oh no.
We agreed.
No.
But here are my two. I'm going to say, like I said, I got
tell ya.
got two questions. One is for a person who has been a PC gamer. I mean, I did play Atari, I did play Coleco, I did play ColecoVision, stuff like that. Commodore 20, whatever the case. But my first computer was a TRS-80.
Okay.
So I've been a PC gamer kind of from the jump, as it were, from
Right.
grade 9 or grade 4.
Text
I was
Adventures.
9. Yeah, Text Adventures, Zork, things like that. And so, as a person who's kind of dyed-in-the-wool PC gamer and has not had a lot, but wants to dabble a bit more in console, your recommendation, what would be a console I would want to look at to purchase to bring into my home and say, okay, I'm going to start the adventure of becoming a console gamer with this?
My recommendation would be the PlayStation.
Okay.
4.
Play 4?
Yep, PlayStation 4. Mostly because and not because the games are any better, but it's easier to navigate. And just like someone who first jumps into a PC gaming, I'm sure it can be intimidating.
Yes.
And get to a point where I don't. I'll just go back to what I was doing.
This one to my right was reduced to tears in the early days of her Warcraft experience,
I
and
kept getting stuck in a wall.
she couldn't figure out how to maneuver the character around and
I
whatnot.
went into
so
the water. I
Yeah,
couldn't
she
get
was-
myself out. You put me into a dungeon.
I do have
was
a little
not
bit of a
ready.
different take. I think
you think you'd go with the Switch?
actually no. I think the Xbox, mostly because it's also a Microsoft product, and when I got into Xbox gaming, it was I felt like the jump from PC, and especially if you're using a controller on the PC, the jump between that and the Xbox isn't that big.
Okay.
It's hard. The reason I would disagree with that is because it's a lot harder to find what you're looking for on the Xbox One than it is on the cross media bar.
Fair enough.
Because you've got to hit this button and then hit this bumper, and to get here, literally on the PS4, it's all in a row. You just move left, right, and you can find what you want.
I suppose it is a little more like the UI is much more user friendly. But
see, we have a PlayStation 3 at home that I got used from a friend of mine, and I got it because at the time I've used my PlayStation 3 more as a portal to Netflix and Hulu and YouTube and things like that than I did an actual game console.
Right.
And then when we got our smart TV, the PlayStation 3 just sat there and got dust unless Ian was using it.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, and Ian discovered PlayStation games and Borderlands and Fallout and stuff like that.
3.
And so, for a guy who has a smart TV, so I'm going to be able to pick up a console, and I'm really going to go for the games at this point. It's not really going to be a portal to anything.
Right.
So that's kind of like, these are the things I'm thinking about when, as George Carlin used to say, when I'm home alone and the TV's broken.
Yeah.
You played Final Fantasy.
I played a couple of the Final Fantasies I got into.
He is correct in that you are going to be able to link to, like, you'd be able to make the Switch easier. You essentially be able to play something that you had on PC if it was Microsoft Live compatible.
Gotcha.
Then you could just pop over to the Xbox One and play that. But if you've never played consoles before, once you make that switch over, you may not know where to find it.
Okay.
And you may get frustrated before you do.
Gotcha. And God knows my patience levels are limited these days.
So I would start with ease of use first.
Gotcha.
And then if you decided you like that, you could always trade that in for the Xbox or try
next
a friend's
box.
house or the next box. You could
You can
always
try an Xbox at our house.
You could always trade in your PS4 for an Xbox, or if you have a friend who has an Xbox, try it out on there and take it from there. But if you're just, I want a console right now, and I've never had a console before, I would say PS4 just because ease of use. You won't get frustrated before you get to any of the fun things.
Now, just because we haven't mentioned the Nintendo systems, Nintendo is much more, in my opinion, family-friendly, and as a result, its console tends to be much more like dedicated towards a family play style.
It's cute. Yeah, that was the word that was popping in my head before you said it. Yeah, and we had a Wii.
It's mom-friendly.
We did all the wand games and bowling and archery and the party games.
I mean, the Switch is awesome.
Is it?
What the Switch does is awesome.
Riker has the Switch.
We had I was at a party and someone pulled out a Switch and we were all just playing we were playing Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. We had like 20 or so people just gathered around us watching us play this.
That's what the Switch does.
That's what the Switch is for.
The Switch is a phenomenal console. It is not a traditional console in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I think it's a much more improved version of they took what's good about the DS and what's good about the Wii and they mashed it together.
Well, what they did is what they did without anybody realizing is that they sold everybody a Switch beta by releasing the Wii U.
You're right. You're completely right.
So they were testing it out. They were seeing what the response would be. Okay.
Because if you think about it, from the jump from the Wii to the Wii U was 3 years, and then it's another 3 years to the Switch. Well,
it was basically a beta test for the Switch.
Yeah.
Tony loves these moments when he actually realizes something.
We don't like this.
Yes.
Let's do this. Oh.
Okay.
All
right. We learned from you. So and like you said, Nintendo kind of marches to its own drum.
And Nintendo can get away with that because people love Nintendo. People love Mario. People love Samus. People love Zelda. They love all those games. And it is a phenomenal system.
Someone actually did like a little bit of research. Nintendo could lose money for the next 50 years and still not go bankrupt.
Jesus. So, we are in the wrong business talking about the game, and we should be actually,
well, that's also because
going
Nintendo's
back in time
been around since Sand was new.
Yeah, there you go.
They were making playing cards.
Yeah, they started off playing cards. They eventually moved into pachinko machines, and then they moved up to console gaming.
Now I'm finally going to get to my second question.
Sure.
And then eventually, my follow-up is we're going to actually talk about E3 a little bit more.
What was the first?
The first question was what console would he recommend to be a starter console?
Yeah.
Now, my son is a big fan of Fallout 3, and you're talking about Fallout 76. Please tell me that doesn't mean there's 76 Fallout games.
No.
No,
Fallout's,
No.
70. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about Fallout 76.
Ooh, this could take a
Okay.
while.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Because
So,
we can go for a while. It's all
Fallout
good.
76 is set way before the events of the first Fallout game.
So it's another prequel.
It's a prequel.
Okay.
So you have the first Fallout game, the second Fallout game. Those were developed by a different game publisher. The name escapes me at the moment.
I can't remember either.
Yeah.
I got
Then
this.
it was picked up by
Volition, maybe? I can't
yeah,
remember.
something like that. Then it was picked up by Bethesda.
Okay.
And Bethesda released Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4.
No,
Well, wait,
New
no.
Vegas.
Not New Vegas. Obsidian
Oh, geez.
released
You got
Obsidian.
Ian's attention
My
now.
bad,
Listen
my
to that.
bad.
Not New Vegas.
a Fallout guy.
I'm almost pissed off a lot of people.
Yes.
Ian and Tony
Yes.
are actually fighting.
It's looking like
Fists are flying.
it's looking like
Yeah.
one of those
Fists
things
of
in Looney
Fury?
Tunes where you see the big
so yeah.
scrum going on with the swirling wind.
Fallout was created by Interplay Entertainment.
Yeah. So Bethesda picked it up and released Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. They
Which was then a
licensed it.
first person.
They switched the
They
gameplay
changed it from top-down isometric.
to third
person.
person or first person, and they basically have been running with that formula since.
Okay.
And that, as a result, has done really well. It was a little divisive with the original fans of the first and second game because
They all came around.
They all eventually came around, but it was a little bit divisive at the time. And then they licensed it to Obsidian, who released Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas was hugely popular with that fan base.
Never liked.
Some people
either.
liked it, some people didn't.
I never liked Vegas. I played 3 and 4. I never liked New Vegas.
I did. I thought it was a very. I really liked the whole faction way it
There were
worked.
a lot
and
more factions.
I think that eventually led into what you see in Fallout 4 with the way the factions work there. Fallout 76 is going to be a multiplayer where everything else up to this point has been single player.
Okay.
Fallout 76 is going for a much more
MMO style.
MMO
gameplay.
a la Minecraft.
Okay.
Very, very graphically advanced Minecraft, if you will.
A lot of building.
Lot of-
You can build forts. You can build towns.
Ooh,
The
I like
title
that.
Fallout 76 is a reference to Vault 76.
Yeah.
Which in the lore there was a nuclear war, and everyone was put into different vaults.
Okay.
Each vault was numbered. The first one to open after it was deemed okay was Vault 76. So essentially, you're the first people
I see.
wandering out in this world.
It
Exactly.
says that
So it's going to give you the opportunity to do all the building and the Now, is it the building? Is it going to be customizable like with Minecraft? You're going to be able to, or is it just you pick this particular building and you're going to decorate
Now
it as you see fit?
I haven't really gotten much of a read for that. I want to say yes, but it could be that there's going to be buildings that you have to tear down to make new buildings.
Prefab.
That like in Fallout 4.
And
Exactly,
they can be,
like
and
Fallout 4.
the things you build, if your settlement can actually be attacked,
Exactly.
and can be destroyed.
Okay.
It
The
says
nice thing is there are no NPCs.
no.
Right.
It's all playable characters, except for a few robots here and there. But
Okay.
I don't
See,
know if that's the nice thing.
The
but
Command and Conquer player in me likes stuff like that. I've always been to real time strategy, so it just sounds like it's got a flavor. It's going to be first person shooter, I assume, but with some real time strategy and
I would assume
aspect?
first or third.
first or third, you could probably be able to play it either way. But yeah, it's going to have those strategy aspects to it. My concern with it, I do have one concern with it, and it's the same concern that I have with Sea of Thieves. Which is why I've gotten out of Sea of Thieves, is there are people who like to play a game just to ruin everyone else's experience.
Oh yeah,
griefers.
trolls are resplendent in the
And
community.
you see it all the time in Sea of Thieves. That's one of the reasons I stopped playing.
But then the terrorists win.
and I'm afraid you're going to see the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I can almost
in
guarantee you would.
Fallout.
Yeah.
But they still have their
I
single player.
I'd like to think that it will follow more of a Minecraft thing where you do have the griefers and the trolls who will go through and destroy your settlement, but the community revolving around that server will band together, rally, and rebuild.
That'd
well,
be nice.
It does say here, while other players will be able to attack player settlements while they're online, the game will preserve player creations in some type of form to prevent players from having to start all over if the creations in progress are destroyed. So it's
Yeah,
going to be able to save something.
Essentially, what that means, I think, is you're going to any supplies you have you will keep. You won't lose them because your settlement got attacked. If they attack your settlement, you may end up with supplies that were involved in building that settlement. But you won't lose supplies. You won't lose any leveling up you've done. You won't lose any of that.
Okay,
you won't lose
that would
any
be
of your
important.
ammo. You won't lose any of that. Any of your loot, essentially.
Okay.
They have specified that won't happen. You'll get to keep those.
Because on my happy little phone here, I play Clash of Clans on a regular basis.
Okay.
And there are days where I'm building because I'm trying to gather resources because I want to make a big upgrade. And I can't because every time my shield drops, I get clobbered and raided, and I lose. And that just drives me nuts. So what you're saying is they're putting in mechanics in that something like this would not be as devastating to the player.
You won't lose all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is...
What you'd end up losing is probably just playtime that it took to make the settlement up to that point.
What I'm
Which could be annoying.
Tony,
Sorry, go for it. Sorry.
Swear to God.
Sorry.
I'm going to come over there. I'm going to slap you.
Okay.
Right. What I'm thinking is, because I saw some gameplay, is you are given a box. The box, if you pick it up, that settlement now disappears into that box, and if you place it down anywhere else, it reappears.
Yep, that's for server swaps.
For server swaps.
Yep, they're going to do that for server swaps.
Okay.
That way, whatever you build isn't stuck on one server. Say you quit the game, you come back, that server's full. Now what do? You have to start all over? Nope, it's all in your box.
Sweet. Good to know.
All right. So that rousing discussion having been said, tell me more about E3 itself. You did, because that was kind of this is what we do. You're familiar with how we do things.
I am. It's fine.
So tell us a little
it.
bit more about the E3 experience. What you saw. What comments you have on that.
E3, like I said, there were the leaks, and you had a lot of companies playing it safe. For that reason, this year's E3 for me was a little disappointing.
Okay.
Again, some of that is probably down to expectations.
Right.
Generally, E3 is this huge extravaganza where they show new stuff and surprises. And, Walmart ruined most of the surprises.
Well, Walmart ruins a lot of things. So
There were a few. Wolfenstein Youngblood, I'm incredibly excited about. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember Castle Wolfenstein on my Apple IIc back in 1989.
My parents were
the original
watching
version.
a movie, and they made a reference to Wolfenstein. And they were like, Tony, do you know what that was? And I was like, yeah, it's a game that you play that used to be text-based and now is 3D first-person shooter. And they were like, it's a 3D first-person shooter? I was like, yeah.
It wasn't even text. When I started playing it, it was actually just very basic Apple II graphics.
Oh, yeah.
So the bricks.
And they're in rough shape of humanoid form with the room map. So you're looking straight down, and so you've got one side of the keyboard was for all your direction, all 8 points of the cardinal, and then the other side was which direction you fire your gun in.
What was always funny about those early first-person shooter games for me is anytime you moved your character, it gave the impression you didn't feel like your character was moving. You felt like the world was moving around you. Like your character never moved.
Yes.
But the world was moving around you.
There is a reason for
It's
that.
kind of-
Sometimes that did happen.
That's
Kind of looking at like the 8-bit with Bard's Tale and things like that. Like you think that you're walking down a corridor, but really the corridor is just
going past you.
Going past
Yeah.
you, and I'm
Yeah.
like, which way did I turn?
and then you get super confused.
Yeah.
That
I would say that this year was probably a very good year for RPGs and announcements for along those lines.
RPGs.
There was
RPGs
Cyberpunk's 2077.
looks amazing.
I'm really excited for that.
I like CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
They love their community.
Yeah, they do.
A big year for RPGs and Samurai. Samurai were pretty
surprisingly.
big this year. They're having a resurgence. I guess there's this year's zombies. I don't know.
But there's a lot of good stuff coming up.
There is a lot of good stuff coming out. A lot of it we already knew.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Thanks,
with
Walmart.
E3. Sony came out and said, look, we've been talking about these games for a year. We're going to be showing you more and hitting them hard. people were still upset with Sony, but Sony told you what they were going to do. So, so they hit Spider-Man, Last of Us 2. What am I missing?
Which one's Spider-Man? Oh, shoot.
Come over to the microphone. There you go.
Spider-Man for the PS4.
There's a Spider-Man one?
There's a Spider-Man game coming out.
Nice.
I'm getting flashbacks to the other one where you would constantly die at that when you're trying to save Gwen Stacy and
the Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
Billy, did you ever have a console?
I had
other than Pong.
No, I had Atari 2600, followed by the next generation. Then I had a Nintendo. What was the next version of Nintendo?
The NES.
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo. Yeah, that's where I played Final Fantasy 2.
Then I had a Sega Genesis.
Oh, I love my Sega Genesis.
Sega!
We like the 32-bit.
32-bit consoles.
The one that you attached to the top thing, and then it kept dying on us.
And I don't think I've had anything since. So
we still have.
I
Sega.
had a Nintendo Game Boy.
Okay.
We still have our Nintendo.
I have my Atari, my Nintendo, my Super Nintendo, my ColecoVision.
Got my Wii. Got my GameCube.
I have my Wii.
NES.
I have my GameCube.
Super Nintendo.
So my future PlayStation 4 is out there somewhere. I have not bought it yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's out there somewhere in the roster area.
There's some great deals out there right now.
Okay. I'm sure.
You can,
especially since you're nearing the end of this console cycle.
Are they talking about PlayStation 5 yet?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm sure they're dropping hints, but they haven't outright said we're making this.
Yeah. See, they got to be careful because they know they've come out and said, "Look, it's not ready soon. It's not going to be ready till 2021."
They're playing it careful.
And the problem is that's great, but you still got 3 years left, or 2 years left in this generation.
Okay.
You don't want to completely kill that off,
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Right.
do nothing for 2 years because you've shown your new console that's not ready.
So, so things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. A new Xbox will be coming out probably around the same time.
Oh yeah.
They're calling it the Xbox 2.
Xbox. How many Xboxes have there been?
Well, there was the
somehow they
original
went to-
Xbox.
This is the same people who had
The
Windows
Xbox
3.5, Windows 10.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Windows
exactly
They
right.
went 360 and then they went back to 1.
Yes, but so Xbox, Microsoft. What are you going to do? We smile and nod.
I think what Xbox One. I think when the new Xbox releases, you are going to and Microsoft's E3. Let me say this first. Microsoft's E3 this year was not about now. It was not about what's coming. It was about the next generation. It was about their future.
Okay.
They created a new studio. They bought 4 studios because they have not won this generation. They have no chance of winning this generation.
Gotcha.
Their first party titles have been very lackluster. They've had a few, but not many. So they are very much priming for next gen. That's why you're seeing Games Pass.
Okay.
That's why you're seeing them buying up studios so they can come out strong next generation.
And that's
with that
why
first,
they're coming out with new IPs like Cyberpunk 2077, so they can have a strong showing come the start of the next generation. Basically, what they're doing is they're cutting their losses for this generation to focus on the next.
Yeah, and I think what you're going to see, I think when the next Xbox comes out, I think they are going to deliver on a lot of the promises they made for the Xbox One that everybody got into a rage about, so they backed off of them, which is DRM online all the time.
Gotcha.
Streaming console. Streaming is the future. You can only put it off for so long.
Right.
This week, GameStop announced that they're looking for a buyer. About a year ago, Toys R Us announced they were looking for a buyer.
Yeah.
They got a week left before they are no more. I wouldn't be surprised if you see something similar happening with GameStop because the physical market just isn't there anymore.
No.
People are moving towards
Everything's available.
Steam and Origin killed killed GameStop.
They are moving. You've got Game Pass.
And video killed the radio star.
Yeah, that's right.
May I suggest that Xbox, the new one, call themselves Xbox 10, except with a Roman numeral?
There you go.
Xbox X.
Xbox X. There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
That's coming. Don't worry. It'll be here.
My last question for you.
Sure.
Is, and this is something we've talked about in the podcast, is related to this. How Hollywood has run out of ideas. Movies are being retread. They're doing reboots. They're doing sequels to movies that should never have had a sequel, et cetera, et cetera. Are you seeing the same thing in gaming? where there's just kind of the same thing over and over, just reskinned and new graphics and new characters?
You'll always see that in games because you'll always see it in movies, and you'll always see TV. There's some TV shows that go on way too many seasons because, like any consumers are comfortable. Consumers have to be comfortable spending their money, or they won't spend it.
Okay.
So you have to give them something that they are comfortable spending their money on.
There's always going to be an aspect of familiarity.
There's always going to be that aspect.
Okay.
That's where I think your indie titles come in. I think that's where your original IPs come in.
Okay.
A lot of the time, another reason for these very, the Call of Duties, the Battlefronts, the Maddens, is because
the Assassin's Creed.
The Assassin's Creeds is because they allow money to now work on that stuff that might not make you as much money, but is completely original and is something new and is something that is an experiment you want to try. Independent games do the same thing. They don't take near the money to create that these AAA titles do, so they can focus on what they want to focus, and they can try the new things.
Nice.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But at least they
look
give
at
a chance
to. Life is Strange was a gamble. The only Don't Nod had put out one game before they released Life is Strange, which was Remember Me, and it was not remembered.
Okay.
Bad pun. Sorry.
That's all right.
However,
this is not the first time we've heard a bad pun in this studio.
Remember Me did wind up making
with
its
the time
way
rewind.
into,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they made their way into Life is Strange. Remember Me was very much, with the exception of the time manipulation, was very much your standard shooter.
Oh yeah.
Set in the future.
Okay.
First game Don't Nod ever did. They took that mechanic, they scaled back, they made a small independent game, released it episodically, and they blew up.
I feel like episodic games are becoming more and more popular, especially with like the success of like Tall Tale games and Don't Not games. I think even Dragon's Quest is going towards
some of the Dragon Quests do. Ubisoft did it with Hitman last year.
Okay.
They did.
Episodic game is something that's happening. The problem with it, especially in Telltale's case, is it becomes too easy to fall into that pattern. I mean, Telltale hasn't changed up their engines or their ideas in, let's see, 7 years.
When was the first one released?
7 years. The Walking Dead was released in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
right around the time the first Skyrim was.
Yep, right around the time. Yeah, so so they have relied on new IPs. They bought Guardians of the Galaxy. They bought Fables. They bought, or they licensed Fables, Guardians of the Galaxy, Batman, to tell their own stories. They are good games, but you can see their age.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
But again, there's that commonality that people continue to pay for them. So it becomes a gamble. Do we try to do something different? Do we change things up and take the chance? Or do we get stale and just let the people that are buying buy?
That's always like a gamble for the game devs. They have to weigh the options of changing stuff up or changing up things. If they change up things too much, you risk alienating your fan base.
Might not like it.
And that game becomes a black sheep, and nobody plays that game.
All right.
That's what happened to Sonic. It was a series of game changing. They changed the way the game worked way too many times in a row that you completely lost your original fan base.
There was no familiarity with it anymore.
All right. Dan Reamer,
So, yeah.
Gamestitch.com.
Yes.
Follow him, follow us, following him. And like I said before, keep following us and we'll lead you to the good stuff of entertainment.
You can find us if you want to follow us directly. You can follow us at game_stitch. That's on Twitter, obviously. I am at Shirtless Dan. Ryan is at Podcast Ryan. I have the cooler name. Definitely. And together, like I said, we are at game_stitch.
Nice.
And you can find us at Gamestitch.com. You can find everything we have is archived. So you can listen to the really bad stuff from way back when we first started, to our learning. You can hear our learning curve firsthand.
We'll make sure he puts your website up when we post this particular
that.
episode. That'd be awesome. And we'd love to have you guys back.
Yeah.
Have you on.
Yeah.
And,
we've had you on twice now. I feel like we should send one of our people over to do one with you.
Well,
And who would that be, Tony?
Mine's a little more complicated. Because my partner, my co-host,
he's
Ryan,
in Tennessee?
He's in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So and I talked a little bit about it at the panel. It is nowhere near this easy. This is nice. But we use Skype and Audacity and recording and splicing and editing and all kinds of fun stuff that's way more complicated. But
we use Billy because Billy is awesome. All right, so we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll wrap this particular one up. And thank you, Dan. I appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Well, thanks for having me anytime.
Absolutely. This definitely will be happening again.
Okay. Let's go to break with comedian Billy Gardell.
Nice.
I have a 7-year-old, and I don't want him to have to download his childhood. You understand? I want him to be a kid. I want him to go outside and play and think of stuff to do. And it's hard as a parent, man. You got to let him play some video games, right? Because you got to let him keep up with his boys at school. You don't want to be that weird kid at the lunch table shooting marbles going, my dad says this is a video game. I'm trying to do that. But there's got to be a happy middle ground. I don't want him to be one of them video vegetables, you know what I mean? Go outside and play. That's it. You know, use your imagination. We didn't have a Nano or a PlayStation or an iPod or a PSP I had a stick. And on a good day, a roll of caps and a rock. That was it.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, dudes and dudettes. And that was awesome. Thank you very much for hanging out with us, Dan. That was a great conversation.
Thanks for the invite. I had a lot of fun.
And it brings an aspect because we usually don't get a chance to talk about video games all that much. And the FC3 slogan is where it all comes together, and that's kind of a vital part of the community is this video game, computer gaming.
Right.
We've touched on it in the past.
It was very nice to have like the Microsoft people there at the convention.
It was really great to have them there, and they did an awesome job. And a huge shout out to Maya and Justin. They were awesome sauce bringing that all together and coordinating things. So we'll definitely keep up with that. And so this is usually the part of the show where we talk about upcoming events, and we don't have anything on the books just yet, but we will. You keep listening to this particular part of the podcast, and we will keep you posted as to what's going on. The next usual shout out is we want to get back to doing Hometown Heroes, don't we?
Everyday Heroes.
Everyday Heroes. Where we reach out because not all heroes wear capes. So if you know an EMT, a firefighter, a police officer, a teacher, some sort of service provider who is out there who deserves a shout out, give our producer Sherry a holler at CHERIE Sherry at FC3ROC.org. Let her know, and we will give your hometown hero a shout out. Do you have anybody in mind, Dan?
Well, she's not an EMT. She's not a firefighter. She is my wife.
Absolutely. So she's a very patient soul.
So Nicole,
yes,
you deserve this.
Absolutely,
because she puts up with a lot from me. I'm constantly working on this stuff, playing video games, doing research.
Yeah,
we're in the process of maybe starting up a few different podcast ideas.
Okay,
so
cool.
Doing research for that and
let
creating
us know how
music
we can help.
And all that stuff. So she takes it on. She's a champ, man. She
strikes me as a very patient soul. When I met her at FC3 this year,
I've got it much better than she does.
Nice, nice. So Nicole, big shout out to you, and thank you for everything you do.
I want to shout out to Colleen, our EMT that hung out with us.
Oh, at FC3, yeah, absolutely. She was fantastic.
FC3.
She was really amazingly professional.
She got called into a couple different scrapes, from what I understand.
Yep,
but
and handled it with class, dignity, and aplomb.
Nothing too serious, I hope.
No. A couple bangs and bruises. We had the wrestlers there.
I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I think someone was
somebody had gotten
a little dehydrated or something.
A little dehydrated, and we also had somebody who had an injury at work the day before, and the cut kind of opened while they were there, and so Colleen jumped in and took care of that.
Put a Band-Aid on
lots of little minor things, but
one thing
it was
that was
good
really
stuff.
nice about that show. I've been to a couple different cons. Everybody from the staff to the guests to the panelists to everybody was very generous and forthcoming, and they just understood. A lot of times you go there and there can be some creeps there.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Oh, yeah.
There was none of that. Everybody was, if you had a problem, you could ask anybody. They would help. I was really, really impressed with that aspect of the show. So kudos go to you guys.
Thank you.
For the whole show in particular.
Much appreciated.
But especially that part. That's really nice to see.
Well, we always talk. Dan, our overall fearless leader, the president of the board and everything, he has been a Disney fan since we were kids.
Okay.
And he goes to Disney on a regular basis. He takes his kids, or he does the Disney marathon down there. He's a marathon runner. God bless his soul for that. But the big thing about it is the Disney experience. You know, you make sure that everybody feels like they're a welcome part of the family. And I think we've done a really good job. We've been very blessed. We've had some great volunteers. We've chosen some very good guests. And a lot of our vendors have risen to that because the vibe is positive. We're excited. Yeah. It's more about being fans ourselves. We're not just business people. We're not just putting a con to make money. We're fans.
You enjoy it.
We have a lot of fun. We dive in and we got to get involved. I lead panels, and Dan is getting people, riled up on the vendor floor whenever he gets a chance. Brian too. So we really like to have fun, and we want to make a really big party. And the fact that we're successful at getting that vibe out, just it's the validation. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
So that's a lot of fun.
Kudos to you,
thank
all
you
of you involved for that.
Thank you. I don't think we have a question of the week this week.
Do we want to do our standard? What's making you happy?
That's a perfect idea, Billy. Thank you. So, Billy, what is making you happy this week?
He's on vacation.
I'm on vacation.
I can answer that for him.
But also, Jazz Fest in general has been awesome.
Yeah.
By the time this gets released, it may have just ended or ended a couple days ago. But it's just an amazing event that happens throughout Rochester every year. And if all you want to do is free stuff, plenty of free music to listen to. I'm lucky enough to get a media pass where I can get in just about anywhere except the Eastman Theater headliners.
Okay.
But
there's still a ton
all
of
the club
access.
passes, and I've seen some amazing stuff.
Nice.
And if you want to spend some extra money, I went to go see Lake Street Dive.
Okay.
Last Thursday, if this is released when I think it's going to be, and I paid for tickets for that because I love them. So I've had a great week and 9 days of music. So
nice. Oh yeah, that's definitely something to look forward to.
And I slept late every morning,
which is what in your case, like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll probably get up 6-ish.
6-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sleeping in.
Yeah, by a couple hours.
That's amazing.
I know why Dad's happy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. Tanya, what's making you happy this week?
I think what's going to make me extremely happy is to finally have everything figured out with Randy and that kidney stone.
Oh, yeah, your husband's been suffering lately with that.
And so that happened over Memorial Day weekend, and I couldn't be on that last podcast. So these are my first 2 podcasts back since then. And the day that we're recording this, the next Monday, he'll be going in for surgery to have the kidney stone blasted because it's a little bigger than what it should have been.
Yeah, I went through that earlier this year.
Yes.
I went through that in February.
You can pass about a 5-millimeter stone. They said it was 6. It's really 7.
Yeah.
So
pop the keg.
We're going to be at
mine
Highland
was
on Monday.
2.5 centimeters. So yeah, they had to go get it.
Well, 2.5 centimeters is 25 millimeters.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
Ow.
That's 3 times bigger than the stone that Randy currently has.
I do things big.
That's totally unnecessary.
Go big or go home.
Tony. Okay, go ahead. Keep going. Keep going, Tom.
I'm going to be on vacation, taking him in, so I'll be happy to have some relaxing time after that.
There you go.
And then I start up summer school.
And then you because you actually want to do summer school. That's a thing.
It's called retail therapy. I have a shopping problem.
Yes, so she needs to afford her shopping problem. Therefore, she teaches in the summertime.
Go to Wish. Wish has...
Wish.com.
We go to Wish and wish that Tanya would actually settle down on shopping.
No, but
I've gone to Wish.com, but it's like, one, you have to wait like sometimes weeks for the stuff to arrive, and if it's something that you want right away, you could go in shopping with somebody else for like $2 or $3, but is it really worth it? I mean, I keep looking every day, but it's not anything that I need to have or have to have right now.
How about you, Tony? What's making you happy this week?
Probably my lovely sister. She's been home all week.
You guys been hanging out?
Yeah.
You guys have always been pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Not Lannister close, mind you, but just close.
No. Well, you see,
really had to go there.
we come from a large family.
I do.
Preferred.
We come from a large family.
Right.
We've got 3 older brothers and my younger sister, and then there's me. And then... and me and my sister are closer in age than we are to the other 3.
Right.
So Well, the three of them are doing their thing. Me and my sister are doing our thing. And,
Diana's pretty cool too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's a cool chick.
She's looking for a job right now.
Okay.
She's
a certified EMT too.
She is a certified EMT. She's currently looking to get a job in either nursing or as an EMT.
Nice. Well, good luck to her.
We'll remember her for next year.
Oh yeah.
Ian Christopher?
I am an oblivious 15-year-old child that loves video games. Nothing could be better.
And he's off for the summer, and he'll be
yeah.
playing video games.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Oh, and blueberry muffins.
And blueberry muffins.
Blueberry
he discovered
muffins
blueberry
are
muffins
yummy.
He discovered them a couple months
They're
ago.
great.
God, I
For the
Really?
first time?
You'd never had a blueberry muffin before?
I was picky. I still am.
He's still a pretty
picky
picky eater, so he would see dots in the muffin and like spots, blue spots in the muffin, and he would be like total turn off. But he
No.
tried one finally, and he was like, "Oh, these are actually quite good."
They're
If
delicious.
it looks unpleasing, I'm not gonna eat it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but blueberry muffins are
Yeah.
amazing.
Ian
Right.
understands that now.
Yeah.
How about you, Dan? What's making you happy this
I'll
week?
tell you what's making me happy is that Ian is embracing what it is to be a 15-year-old.
Yes,
I wish I would have done that when I was 15.
seriously.
Oblivious.
Sleeping
I don't know what I've done right, but
I
both
was
of my
under the
kids.
impression when I was 15 that this was the worst. Nothing could never get any better.
Yeah.
And but he's like, nope. That brings joy to my heart.
There you go.
Young and dumb.
God,
And he embraces it.
I love.
He's also an up-and-coming musician, a bass player in a band. He's having
Who
fun.
passed his algebra final?
Nice.
Nice.
All
God.
right.
Nice.
Was that the Regents exam?
1 point. By 1 point. It was
You know
great.
what? You're done and it's over with.
Yeah.
A
So
pass
he's
is
no
a
longer
pass.
he went from being a freshman to not a freshman, but now he can officially say he's a sophomore.
See, it's funny. I can
what
tell
a
you
wise
as someone
school.
older and wiser that you should always strive to do the best that you can. But as someone who's been there, 1 point is passing.
Get you through. If it gets you through to the next round, run with it.
I know it's wrong in
Yes.
so many levels, but I can't get past it.
I'm a teacher. I'm okay with that.
We keep it
I'm
simple.
happy for the 65.
I passed the finish line, but I'm on the ground. Let's do this.
That's it. So that's all that matters. And then as for me, July 6th of 2018 is when I close on a new house. And a new adventure. I'm moving to a new place, and I'm not I've been renting for almost 5.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I had a great landlord, but it was
Chris.
time. Yeah, Chris was an awesome landlord.
Yeah.
But the time had come to
Right.
move on and plant my flag and be 48 at the end of the summer. And it's like, okay, I need to kind of put my feet back under me again.
Get some roots down.
Get some roots
somewhere.
down and just say this is mine, and not be in a place where I'm wondering what's going to happen next or where am I going to go to.
Right.
What's the next house going to look
What
like?
do I do now?
Yeah, it's just boom, and so I'm very excited about that. It's a new chapter,
Good.
and so I'm very much looking forward to that. So that's definitely making me happy. I'm starting to feel that vibe of I packed away
It's exciting.
3/4 of my life at this point is in boxes.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It
and
is.
It should be.
It really is. So, and I'm going to have an office in the house.
Nice.
Because my home office right now is in the uninsulated attic.
Oh, no.
So for the past 5.5 years, it's been when winter kicks in. There's a space heater to keep the room at about 40.
Right.
And then in the summertime, there's weeks that I can't even go up there because
it's so
it's
hot.
like 150 with 100% humidity. So
Yep.
I'm going to have I'm changing one of the bedrooms into a home office. So I'll have that space.
Nice.
It's going to be great.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to that. So that's what's making us happy this week. What's also making us happy is that you've listened to us again, and that we will hear from you guys again. And then next week we'll have a whole bunch of new stuff coming at you. So welcome. We are now 2 episodes into season 3, and this has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic Con, coming at you in 2019. And follow us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/FC3ROC. Support us on Patreon, love us on Twitter, and we will see you all again very, very soon with all sorts of craziness.
We should release our own video game.
We're actually talking